It started about 6 months ago, one of those nights where the house felt too quiet and the air pressed in heavy around me. I was getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth, folding up my clothes, just the usual routine. It was maybe 10:30, not too late, but late enough that the neighborhood had settled down. My curtains were drawn tight. I never liked the idea of someone seeing in, even though my window faced the backyard and not the street. I was halfway through pulling my blanket up when 3 hard knocks, right on the glass. Not a tap, not a scratch, but 3 deliberate, heavy knocks. I froze. My heart was pounding so loud, I thought whoever was outside could hear it. I didn't even look. I just grabbed my slippers and bolted down the hall for my dad. My dad, Mr. Castillo, is the kind of guy who always tries to look calm, even when he's not. I could barely get the words out, but he followed me back to my room.
All right, calm down. Let me check.
He opened the curtains wide, quick and confident, like he was expecting to see a raccoon or maybe a neighbor messing around. But there was nothing, just the reflection of our faces in the glass and the backyard, quiet and empty. Dad even went out into the backyard, flashlight in hand, checking behind the shed and under the porch. Nothing. No footprints, no sign anyone had been there. He told me it was probably just the house settling, or maybe a branch tapping in the wind. I tried to believe him. But the next night, almost down to the minute, I heard it again. 3 knocks. Hard. Right on the glass. This time, I didn't even hesitate. I ran straight to my parents' room and begged them to check.
It's all right, Mija. Let's just look together, okay?
But again, nothing. No one outside, no marks on the window, not even a smudge. That night, I didn't even try to sleep in my room. I dragged my blanket to the living room and curled up on the couch. A few nights passed with nothing. I started to think maybe it really was just the wind, or a squirrel, or something normal. Then, about a week later, I was home alone. My parents had taken my little brothers to a late soccer game. It was just me, the TV, and the dark. I was on the cordless phone with my friend, just chatting about homework and dumb stuff. I remember laughing at something she said when 3 knocks. Hard. This time, I almost dropped the phone. I ran to my parents' room and locked the door behind me. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely dial their number. They told me to call our neighbors, the Nguyen's, and ask them to check the backyard. I called. They checked. Nothing. Not a soul in our yard, not even a stray cat. The next night, I woke up to more knocking. This time, not 3, but a whole series. It was 1 in the morning. I wanted to look. I really did. But something in me, some animal part, said, don't. Just don't. I got my parents again, but by now, they were tired. They didn't even bother checking. For the next few nights, the knocking came back. Sometimes 3, sometimes more. It was always after dark. I started sleeping on the couch every night. Finally, my parents decided to move me into the old office, just to see if it would stop. For 3 nights, nothing happened. I started to let myself relax. Maybe it really was just my imagination. Then, on the 4th night, I heard it. 3 hard knocks, right on the new window. This time, I forced myself to look. I pulled the curtain aside, just a crack. And there, crouched just below the window, was a figure. Big, broad-shouldered, hunched low. A gray hoodie, dark jeans. I couldn't see the face, just the outline, the bulk of them, crouched and waiting. I slammed the curtain shut and stumbled back, my knees nearly giving out. I ran to my parents, breathless, and told them everything. The clothes, the size, the way they crouched like they were waiting for me.
We're calling the police. Now.
The officers came, checked the yard, walked the perimeter with flashlights. But there was nothing left to find. No footprints, no damage, no sign anyone had even been there.
We can't do much without evidence. I'd suggest you get a camera facing that window and keep your doors locked at night.
So we did. Dad installed a camera right above the window and another by the back fence. Every night, I checked the feed before bed. After that, the knocking stopped. Not a single sound, not a shadow, not even a stray cat. Sometimes, when I'm lying in bed, I wonder if whoever it was just moved on to someone else. Or maybe they're still out there, watching for a window with no camera. I try not to think about it too much, but every now and then, when the house settles just right, I still hear the echo of those 3 knocks, and I wonder if next time I'll have the nerve to look again.
You ever have one of those nights where the world outside just feels off? Like the air's heavier, or you're waiting for something to go wrong? That was me. That night. Just me. My old dog Zeke, and the TV humming in the living room. It must have been close to 11. I remember the late news was just starting, and Zeke kept shifting on the rug like he was waiting for something too. That's when I heard it. A car pulling up out front. Not just passing by, but stopping. Engine cut out sharp, like someone didn't want to be noticed. I figured it was probably one of the neighbors. Zeke, of course, had to go check it out. He trotted straight for the window, shoving his nose between the blinds. The blinds got all tangled up from his snout, so I got up to fix them. That's when I noticed the car, parked right across the street, half in front of my place, half in front of the neighbors. Couldn't see much, just the silhouette of someone still sitting inside. Didn't seem like anything weird. I mean, people park on this street all the time. Maybe they were just lost or waiting for someone. I shrugged, grabbed a drink from the kitchen, and went back to the couch. 15, maybe 20 minutes went by. I got lost in some late-night sitcom rerun. Zeke had settled back down, but he kept glancing at the window every so often. Then, out of nowhere, I heard this tapping. Not a knock, just a tiny, almost polite tap at the front door. Zeke sat up, ears perked, tail stiff. I paused the TV. The tapping stopped for a second, then started up again. Only this time, it was on the window. I could feel my heart start to race, just a little. I crept over and peeked through the blinds. There was a guy standing right there, barely lit by the porch light. I couldn't see his face, just the shape of him, hunched, like he was trying not to be seen. He moved back to the door and started tapping again. I don't know why, but this weird, cold fear just washed over me. Like, if I opened that door, something bad would happen. I just knew it. I backed away and whispered for Zeke to hush. He let out this low, rumbling growl. Nothing showy, just a warning. The tapping kept going. I didn't move. I figured maybe if I talked to him from upstairs, I'd feel safer. So I crept up, opened the window just a crack, and called down. trying to sound braver than I felt. He looked up, voice barely above a whisper. Said he was delivering pizza and told me the total. For a second, I felt stupid for being scared. But then, I remembered I never ordered anything. I told him, "Sorry, man, I didn't order any pizza." I figured maybe he was just being quiet so he wouldn't wake the neighbors. But Zeke was right next to me, hackles up, and that fear was still gnawing at me.
You sure? This is number 14, right? I got the right place. Come on down. Pay for your pizza before it gets cold.
I hesitated, peering through the rain. He wasn't holding anything. No pizza box, no bag. His hands were empty. That's when my skin really started to crawl. I told him again, "I didn't order anything. You must have the wrong house." That's when he got angry. His voice sharp, then suddenly soft, like he was trying to coax me down.
I said I got your pizza. Open the door. Don't make me wait out here all night.
I asked, "Where's the pizza then?" He said he had it right there. But I could see he wasn't holding a thing.
Just open the door. I'm not going to ask again.
Zeke started barking, deep and loud, echoing up the stairs. The man just stood there, not even flinching. If anything, he seemed more annoyed than scared. He kept repeating himself, "Open the door, come downstairs, open the door," over and over, voice going from angry to almost pleading. It felt like he was trying to hypnotize me. I was frozen. Every instinct screamed at me, "Don't go down there, don't open the door." Zeke's barking was frantic now, but the man just kept at it. Suddenly, I heard another door open across the street. My neighbor, Mr. Patel, must have heard the commotion. His porch light flicked on, flooding the street. The stranger didn't say a word. He just turned and bolted, ran across the street, shoes splashing in the puddles, straight to the car that had been waiting there all along. He got in, empty-handed, and the car sped off, taillights vanishing into the rain. I just stood there, shaking. Zeke pressed up against my leg like he was guarding me from whatever that was. I locked every door and window in the house, double-checked them twice. Zeke wouldn't leave my side. I kept thinking about how the guy saw my dog. Big, loud, not exactly friendly, and still didn't care. It wasn't random. He drove here, waited, watched, tried to get me to open up. I keep replaying it, wondering what would have happened if I'd gone down there. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Zeke. We just sat there, listening to the rain, waiting for the car to come back. It never did. But I never saw that guy again either. Sometimes late at night, I still think I hear that tapping, just a little too soft to be the wind. And every time I remember, never open the door, not at night, not for anyone. I still don't know what he wanted. And honestly, I don't want to know. Some things are better left behind the glass. If you ever hear someone tapping at your door late at night, don't answer. Just listen and wait for the morning. That's all I can say. I hope you never have to find out what's waiting on the other side.
You ever get that feeling when the afternoon sun starts to fade and the world outside your window just changes? That was the kind of day it was. Humid, quiet, and somehow too still. My name's Amira. I was 20, home alone for the afternoon. My mom had gone out to the market, just a block away. She said she'd be back before dinner. We lived on the 5th floor in a block with 6 units per level. The kind of place where you could hear the neighbor's TV through the walls and the corridor was always echoing with someone's footsteps. I remember I was sprawled out on the sofa, flipping through a magazine. No smartphones back then, just glossy pages and static from the old TV. Our living room window faced the corridor. For some reason, it always confused delivery guys. They'd see the window and think it belonged to the neighbor's unit, not ours. The window was tinted, kind of milky, so you couldn't see in unless you pressed your face right up to the glass. But there was this scratch, a thin, jagged line, where the film had peeled. It was quiet, except for the low hum of the fridge and the occasional car horn drifting up from the street. Then I heard it, knocking. Not at my door, but at the neighbor's. Hard, impatient, like someone in a rush. I sat up, listening. The knock came again, and then a voice, male, a little rough, shouted, "Delivery!"
Delivery. Hello? Anybody home?
I shuffled closer to the window, careful not to make a sound. Through the blurry glass, I could make out 2 figures, both tall, both men, I think, from the way they stood. One of them knocked again, louder this time. But the neighbor wasn't home. No one answered.
Guess nobody's in. Let's go.
I watched as they turned to leave. Relief started to settle in, but then one of them stopped. He turned, walking right up to my window. He leaned in, pressing both palms flat against the glass, right where that scratch was. His face was so close I could see the outline of his nose, the whites of his eye. I froze. My heart was pounding so loud I thought he might hear it. He squinted, peering in, searching for something. Maybe me. I dropped to the floor, crawling behind the sofa. I didn't dare breathe. All I could think was, if he saw me, what would he do? He lingered, his face pressed so hard I thought the glass might crack. I heard a faint, frustrated sigh. Then, finally, footsteps moving away. I waited, counting to 30, then to 60. The corridor was silent again. I crawled to the hallway, pressing my ear to the door. Nothing. My hands were shaking as I reached for the phone. I dialed my mom's number, trying to keep my voice steady.
Hello? Amira? What's wrong?
I whispered, telling her about the man at the window, my words tumbling over each other. She promised she'd be home soon. Just wait. Don't open the door for anyone.
Just stay in your room, okay? I'll be there in 10 minutes.
I hung up and crawled into the small bedroom next to the living room, shutting the door behind me. I pressed my back against the wall, listening to every creak, every faint sound from the corridor. Minutes crawled by. I peeked out, just enough to see the living room. The window was empty now, just the scratch catching the light. I kept thinking, what if he came back? What if he was just waiting for me to let my guard down? After what felt like forever, I heard the elevator ding and the familiar shuffle of my mom's slippers in the corridor.
Amira, open up, it's me.
I rushed to the door, barely able to turn the lock with my trembling fingers. My mom stepped in, her face tight with worry and something else, anger.
I just saw the delivery guy downstairs. He was still hanging around the lift lobby.
She listened to everything, her jaw clenched. Then she marched to the kitchen window, peering out into the parking lot below. There he was, the same man, standing by his van, looking up at our floor. For a second, I thought he saw us watching. My mom glared, her eyes sharp as knives. The man hesitated, then climbed into his van and drove off, slow, like he wanted us to see him leave. That night, we covered the living room window with an old bed sheet, pinning it tight so nothing could peek in again. It stayed that way for months. Even now, every time I hear footsteps in the corridor, I can't help but check the window, just to be sure. Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe he really did think our window was the neighbor's. But some nights, when the corridor is quiet and the lights flicker, I remember that eye staring back at me. And I wonder, if I hadn't hidden, if I'd looked back just a second longer, what would I have seen?